gonna talk we're gonna talk Chuck Norris's birth chart. Uh man, dude. Rest in peace to a legend, Chuck Norris. So yeah, what we got in front of us here is the chart for right now. This is actually an hour from now. I think I cast this for 9 p.m. because I was thinking I was on Longo time rather than Merlin time. But yeah, this is 9 p.m. New York City. So quite the chart tonight, honestly. I mean, besides the Saturn Sun conjunction and Mercury being in detriment, Mars is happy. Mars is trining Jupiter very tightly. Let's see what we got here. We got Mars at 15. Yeah, dude. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, to the minute. Wow. That is a really, really tight Mars kit that literally cannot be tighter. Okay, so Mars and Jupiter, perfect trine there from Pisces over to Cancer. And again, Mars is happy in Pisces. Mars rules the watery triplicity. This is a fun fact for just again, like, please, well, okay, whatever. Every planet or luminary rules a different triplicity during a different time of the day. Like the sun rules the fiery triplicity, the three fire signs during the day. He has rulership over all three of them. Jupiter rules fire during the night. Mercury rules air during the night. Saturn rules air during the day. Water is ruled by Mars both day and night. That's why so many water words have Mar in them. Pretty much all of them, right? Maritime, mariner, et cetera, et cetera. Just because war and conquest and the explore, the exploration, the spirit of exploring is very intrinsically tied into war and willpower and all of these things. You can't really wage a war without the water. So yeah, Mars very, very happy in any water sign, even Pisces. That's where I big disagree. If you read a book that me and Longo both really like is this book we're gonna reference here later with the tarot, called The General Principles of Astrology by Aleister Crowley. Okay, my mic is good tonight. Okay, good. I'm having like flashbacks to the night where my mic was not working. Um, yeah, so Mars is happy in any water sign. So he's chilling in Pisces, and of course, trining Jupiter. Again, Mars is a malefic, but any planet loves getting a positive aspect, especially from a benefic. So Mars trine Jupiter, and again, Jupiter is not in his exaltation degree because Jupiter's exaltation degree is the 15th degree of Cancer. However, when Jupiter here, it says, oh, 15 degrees, 16 minutes, that's the 16th degree of Cancer because 0 degrees, whatever minutes, is the first degree, right? It's like centuries when it comes to this stuff. So Jupiter is just barely, barely not in his exaltation degree, but he's in his exaltation sign, pretty much freaking skimming. He's like, as Santos Bonacci would say, he's a bee's dick away from his exaltation degree. So he's happy as a clam. Mars is happy as a clam, and they both have sextiles to the moon, which is pretty cool. Jupiter's sextile to the moon is okay. They both have a 5-degree orb sextile to the moon, so that puts the moon at what, 20 or 10? 10. So they'll be sextile on the moon all day. They got a day, like pretty much a day, all of tonight, most of tomorrow. That sextile is going to end late tomorrow for Mars, and it might continue a bit for Jupiter because its orb's bigger. So between Mars, Jupiter, Moon, happy, happy, ah, happy, happy, happy. And of course, we got some reception there because Jupiter, it exalts in Cancer, the Moon rules Cancer. The Moon exalts in Taurus, so I mean, man, we got a lot of happy planets. The Sun is in its exaltation sign now, and its exaltation dodecatamary, so the Sun is super stoked. Problem is, Venus is kind of squatting and taking a shit all over Aries. Not the best for the Sun. And this Saturn-Sun conjunction is going to be, a bit a bit problematic, I think. I really see like a big turning point for the war coming right around the time we get that Saturn Sun conjunction tightening up quite a bit. and maybe like a few degrees past. But yeah, it's and again, this stuff's obvious, guys. We see the war ramping up. I was asking Chat GPT earlier today. I was like, given all that you know, how long do you think the war is going to last between Iran and the US and Israel? And it gave some fucking pussy answer that was like, "Oh, it could last weeks, it could last much longer. There's a lot of blah blah blah." Blah." And I'm like, "Give me a number and a unit of time." And it predicted 8 months, and then it would end with with like a treaty, which I don't know, but it didn't think boots would ever be on the ground. Like after long airstrikes, eventually Iran would concede and they would strike a deal, and neither the U.S. nor Iran would be victorious. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. We are gonna talk Iran psyops way, way, way later in the stream. I'm thinking like, what else do I want to talk about with this chart? The Mars Mercury conjunction is going to be coming back in a big way. I mean, yeah, there's still conjunct, but it's such a loose conjunction right now. But Mercury is officially done retrogressing, so Mercury is going to go direct here in a little bit, and then catch back up to Mars and have another Mars Mercury conjunction in Pisces, really muddling communication, I would say. And again, especially around this war. And that's going to happen a bit after the Saturn Sun conjunction. I think Saturn Sun should conjunct in about 3 days. So there will be that. And then, of course, Venus is no longer conjunct Saturn, thank God. But now Venus is squaring Jupiter, so that's less than ideal. You never want to see the benefics having a tough time with one another. So again, like expansion and love uh, could be having issues right now. Like Venus is hot and heavy in Aries, and she's having a tough time starting, just being squared by Jupiter over there. And Venus is now, she still has a way to go before she starts retrogressing. Venus gets about 44 or 45 degrees away from the sun, I think, something like that. So she's only like 20 something away from the sun right now, so she won't retrogress for quite a bit. Um, yeah, I mean, just the fact that the moon's super happy, Jupiter's super happy, Mars super happy, Sun. No one likes being too close to Saturn's like Oscar the Grouch. You guys remember that Dave Chappelle skit when he was making fun of? He's like, "Of course, Oscar's a grouch. Lives in a fucking trash can." That's Saturn, man. He's Oscar the Grouch of the zodiac. Um, Let's see. We got some chats here. Burned. Watch out for the Saturn Sun opposition. Yeah, dude. Like that's the thing is like whenever the Saturn. I mentioned that in a previous stream. The Saturn Sun opposition later this year is gonna be freaking crazy, because it's gonna be Saturn in Aries and then the Sun in and like there's gonna be fall. But then also later when the Sun's in Capricorn, right? Like even with like Sun's in Cancer, it's gonna be squaring Saturn. Sun's in Libra, it's gonna be opposite Saturn, and then Sun's in Capricorn, it's gonna be squaring Saturn, like in Saturn in exaltation of the Sun, and the Sun and the domicile of Saturn. So all of the cardinal signs, like if your rising sign is a cardinal sign, expect challenges from Saturn, especially if your rising degree is like an early degree, right? Like right now, Saturn won't hit the later degrees of Aries really until like a year and change from now. It'll start kind of like getting around that neck of the woods. But yeah, like if you have like, like early degrees of Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn rising, again, your rising sign, your rising degree is going to be getting aspected. Or if you have planets in those degrees, right? If you have planets in those degrees, expect challenges from Saturn. Like that's like a nice little way to think about whole sign house horoscopes. Is and Saturn's such an easy one to track. Like Saturn was in Pisces uh last year, and for the 2.5 previous years, right? So every mutable sign was receiving challenges from Saturn in a big way. Whereas like the watery signs were receiving kind of blessings in a way from Saturn, but Saturn's really blessed too much. So yeah, that's kind of what's up with the vernal equinox chart. It's again like the Saturn Sun conjunction is a big deal, but lots of other stuff going on in the sky, and like it's mostly overall good. The least happy planet in the chart, I would say, definitely is Venus, followed very closely by the Sun and Mercury, obviously in its detriment. But like, yeah, I mean Mercury, but it's getting a trine from Jupiter. It's definitely debilitated though. Like if we're going like by the old point system, I think Mercury is like negative several points here, even with the trine to Jupiter. It wouldn't even make a difference. Um, So yeah, there's that. Let's see what we got next on the old agenda. Oh, dude, okay. So all about Aries, right? The sun just entered Aries, and in the tarot, the Emperor card is symbolic of Aries. So what I've got here are just two different Emperor cards, and they're both super fucking cool. The one on the right is the Rider Waite Emperor card, and then the other one I forget what the deck name is. But so like I'm gonna again I got here the original Rider Waite pictorial guide to the tarot. I'm gonna kind of like riff off of what A.E. Waite, the uh creator really of the Rider Waite Tarot deck, says about the Emperor card. And then also I want to read Aleister Crowley in his general. But Longo and I both recommend this book, guys. This book is so good. The only problem with this book is $100. Very, very expensive. I've got a lot of astrology books. Many of them are expensive. I think this might be my most expensive one though. Like several are from the 60s range, but this book is $100. It's on Amazon, but it ain't cheap, but it's super worth it. Um, so yeah, let's look at the Emperor card here. It's pretty cool, symbolic of Aries big time. So it says here, he has the form of the crux and sata for his scepter, and a globe in his left hand. So this right here, this, and again, both versions of the card have that. We have the crux and sata. Let me go ahead and pull up the wiki of the crux and sata and get a little bit of information on that real quick. Because again, like long ago, and I did a nice little episode on the cross symbolism. But let's see, crux and sata. What are we looking at here? It's a book for Christian cross. There we go. I mean, is that just an Ankh? Okay, so like we know what an Ankh is. That's like the Venus symbol almost. It comes from the Ankh. It's spirit and matter. Every circle in astrology and most of occult symbolism symbolizes spirit, whereas the cross symbolizes matter. So it's like spirit over matter. Whenever you see a circle over a cross, it's almost always about spirit conquering matter. In a way, mind over matter. You know, like mind over matter is a very, very sanitized way to say spirit over matter, I would say. So yeah, I mean, like a really cool book that goes into the Ankh etymology is a book that Santos Bonacci recommends. Actually, it's called "The Esoteric Structure of the Alphabet" by Alvin Boyd Kuhn. That's a cheap book. I think that's like nine, maybe $15 on Amazon. It's a pretty short book. It's like 50 pages. But dude, the amount of gravy in the esoteric structure of the alphabet by Alvin Boyd Kuhn is next level. All right. So let's see. He has the form of the crux ansata for his scepter and a globe in his left hand. And it's true. And the globe, what it really is the sun. He's holding the sun, right? Like you can see it very clearly here. He's holding the sun. Over here, we'll talk about the symbolism of the cross down here and then the triangle up here. But if you know your alchemy, you know what that symbol is. We'll get to that in a little bit. Very fucking cool. Um, all right, so let's see. He is a crowned monarch, commanding, stately, seated on a throne, the arms of which are fronted by ram's heads. So, like again, like if you're familiar with tarot, like you see the Emperor card here, we've got a ram's head on the one on the left, and then he's got two ram's heads on the one on the right. So very very thick with the Aries symbolism. And again, the sun is the emperor of the sky. The sun dictates night and day, and dictate is a very like imperial word, I would say. He is executive and realization, the power of this world, here clothed with the highest of its natural attributes. He is occasionally represented as seated on a cubic stone, which, however, confuses some of the issues. So look at that, right? So Waite recognizes that, yeah, like on his version, he's got the throne. Look, he's even got rams up there too. The throne is covered with rams. But he does recognize like a very legit tarot card with the Emperor is on a cubic stone, which is interesting because like the cube is 6, guys, and where the date is 321. So 3 plus 2 plus 1 equals 6. 3 times 2 times 1 equals 6. Thank you, Marty Leeds, Gnostic Academy. Check him out. So, like, 6 is the first perfect number, guys. A perfect number is when you can take the divisors of a number, besides the number itself, and they add to the number, right? So 6 can be divided by 3, can be divided by 2, and by 1. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6, therefore 6 is a perfect number. The next one's 28, and then after 28, the next perfect number is like 500 something. So it's not like perfect numbers are very, very common. They're super rare. So 6 is a very, very significant number. Just in life in general, right? Like if you're like if you're an atomist, carbon is 666, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah. All right, so let's see what else we got here. He is the virile power to which the Empress responds, and in this sense is he who seeks to remove the veil of Isis, yet she remains Virgo intacta. All right, a lot of Venus symbolism with that, or maybe moon symbolism with that. Who knows? It should be understood that this card and that of the Empress do not precisely represent the condition of married life, though this state is implied. On the surface, as I have indicated, they stand for mundane royalty, uplifted on the seats of the mighty. But above this, there is the suggestion of another presence. They signify also, and the male figure especially, the higher kingship, occupying the intellectual throne. Hereof is the lordship of thought rather than the animal world. Both personalities, after their own manner, are, quote, full of strange experience. And guys, that's like such an important part, right? Like, we are not animals. People love to equate, oh, human beings, oh, we're just animals, man. We're just animals, man. No, God gave us dominion over animals. Like, you have the ability to act like an animal, and that's the beast, right? Like, it's so fucking obvious. The mark of the beast, 666. The number 6 is how where we get the number with the word sex from. So 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18. That's 9. 9 represents the mind because 9 times anything reduces to 9, right? It just anything. Very, very simple. So if your mind is your lower mind focused on nothing but sex, 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 you may as well be an animal. Whereas if you take the number 6, flip it around, what do you have? 9, 9, 9. Wow. That's 27. 27 is also 9. So like 999 is the higher mind, literally the you can see it. It's the inverse of 666. So the mark of the beast is like your mind if it's focused on the lower realms. Whereas if you can elevate above your animal instinct, then you can ascend a little bit. And that's like something where like fasting, like spiritual fasting comes into play, right? Like in the Bible, I forget, I want to say it's Matthew somewhere in the King James Version. And interestingly, in newer versions of the Bible, they remove all references to fasting. But Jesus makes the claim that when like someone's sick, like there's a specific sickness to be cured. I forget if it's a woman or a man or whomever. But Jesus says this can be cured by nothing other than prayer and fasting. And again, I'm Seth, guys, Seth, who was on my channel with an interview with Saturn Rooster a week ago, he's a excellent when it comes to fasting. I have fasted a bunch. I do practice fasting, not as much as I should, but like I've done like 5 day long water fast, 5 day long juice fast, 3 day dry fast. So like I'm decent, and again, there's many of them, but like I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm an expert faster, but what I want to say about this though is that fasting is an example of mind over matter, right? You want to eat, like you're gonna be fucking hungry. If you fast several days, there are gonna be times where that hunger hits, and you're like, oh my gosh, and you're gonna want to eat. But like fasting is really about having your mind. You decide, you go, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to follow my animal instinct, and it's literally mind over matter. And that's, I think, a big part of the spiritual healing that is associated with fashion. That's like where that comes into play, I think. So when he was, and again, that all ties back to what this guy was saying, Waite was saying in the book, right? He said, right, this is representative of the lordship of thought rather than the animal world. You can tell right here, this guy, the emperor, he's not an animal. He's literally sitting on a throne symbolized by an animal, the ram, which is a very powerful animal. Um, but he himself is obviously not an animal. You can see that he's stately. He is the monarch, right? All right. but theirs is not consciously the wisdom which draws from a higher world. The Emperor has been described as two things: will in its embodied form, but this is only one of its applications. That's true, guys. Aries is willpower. It's the first sign of the zodiac. Like, if Aries is the first sign, right? Like, God willed all of this into existence. So it makes so much sense that Mars, which pretty much in planetary symbolism, and when you look at it zodiacally, Mars represents your willpower, right? So Mars rules Aries, but the sun is also willpower. And funnily enough, like the sun and Mars are very similar. They're both hot and dry planets, both associated with Aries. Obviously, the sun is more benefic than Mars, Mars being malefic. But they're both willpower. They're both yeah, with Aries. Let's see what else it says right here. So the Emperor is described as will, embodied, and also an expression of virtualities contained in the absolute being. But this is fantasy. So it's like the virtue, it's like some of the virtue or nobility of God. Obviously, this is not God, but like it's like a fractal of, a much lesser rendition of God in a way, or the absolute being, as Waite said. But yeah, dude, so let's take a look at what Crowley has to say. Also very fucking fascinating here. So Crowley's taking the Emperor card. He says the Emperor shows a crowned king seated with an orb and scepter upon a cubical stone, which is marked a red eagle. So where's the red eagle? Oh, interesting. On Crowley's version, this ram on the side of the cube is an eagle and not a ram, so keep that in mind. Let's see. His arms are so placed as to form a triangle with the apex upwards, and his legs are crossed. This triangle above a cross is the alchemical sign of sulfur. So there we go, right? A triangle above a cross, which is what we get in the tarot card here, is the alchemical sign of sulfur. And guys, sulfur is the element associated with the sun. So keep that in mind because the sun exalts in Aries, which represents the element of fire in a very sublimated and sacramental form. It is easy to see the analogy between this drawing and the sign of Aries, which is ruled by the fiery planet Mars, and in which the sun is exalted and triumphant. It is the return of the year, when the earth is renewed and all life awakens again to its fullest activity. And it's true, guys. I shot a video out. I'm not going to upload it, but I shot a video outside today, um this morning. Actually, I had like a nice little fire outside, and like it was sunrise, and like the birds were chirping at sunrise. It was so beautiful. But like, in the dead of winter, like the birds aren't chirping that much. Like there's a couple here and there, but like right now, at least by me, hopefully it is by you, everything is really springing back to life. So very, very cool. The vernal equinox is truth, and like we get the word verde, green, in Spanish from vernal. They share the ver root, and like the green is the truth. We live on God's green earth, not a blue marble, right? So and then I want to talk about this here too. We'll talk about Chuck Norris in a second. Um Yeah, sulfur and mercury in alchemy, right? So this is just basic, obviously, like AI assist, whatever. But in alchemy, sulfur represents the principle of the soul and is associated with fire and will, while mercury represents or symbolizes the spirit and acts as a mediator between the fixed and volatile elements. Together with salt, they form the foundational triad essential for alchemical transformation and unbeing. So, right, you've got willpower, and then you've got spirit. So you got your will, your spirit, and then the salt, which is like you. Like, you ever heard like, oh, we are the salt of the earth? That's alchemically what that is. You have your body, which is a temple. And guys, like, our bodies are temples, right? What does that mean though? The word temple is comes from the root temp, temporary, temporal. So it's not permanent, but like while it's here, your body is meant to be a temple to God. So take care of it. Fasting can help. Just tying it all together, right? So that's what like alchemy really is all about, like understanding symbolically, like, so much of like why we are here. So again, the alchemical symbol for sulfur right there, we see in the tarot card for the Emperor. So Very, very cool. Let's talk a little bit about Chuck Norris here. So Chuck Norris, dude, like he passed away, and Saturn was like his moon is third degree is 25 minutes of Aries, so a fourth degree of Aries, which is pretty much right where Saturn is right now. So his moon, or rather, Saturn was transiting Chuck Norris's natal moon when he passed, which sucks. And you guys can see here, like, look at Chuck Norris's birth chart, how it's all focused. I mean, and this is like when you study astrology, like, not all charts are created equal. This is an exceptional chart. You can see here, like, these planets, very, very tight energy. He's got a lot of spring energy. He's the last half of Pisces, the beginning of spring, and then into Taurus. So Pisces is mutable winter, where it's like half winter, half spring. Aries is cardinal spring, and Taurus is fixed spring. And then Gemini, half spring, half summer. So he's got like incredible spring energy. He was a very vivacious person. He was a very virile person. Like he was full of life, you know. Chuck Norris was such a dude. I don't know. There's been so many things in my life that like, you know, things that were like really prominent 20 or a little bit more years ago are like all coming back full circle now, whether it's like video games, memes, or like media. But I am sure you guys remember. And guys, in the chat, please, if you got like a favorite Chuck Norris joke in the comments or the chat, leave your favorite Chuck Norris joke if you got one. But like, dude, like I played World of Warcraft, and there's this zone called the Barrens, which is like just a fucking place to be, the Plains area. And it's known for just having like trolley chat. Everyone just goes there and like shoots the shit, and it was called Barrens chat. And Chuck Norris, like in 2004, 2005, Chuck Norris jokes were like peak. Everyone's like, oh, Chuck Norris doesn't blah blah blah. Chuck Norris, you know, blah blah blah. Chuck's Chuck Norris or whatever. Kind of like those Russian jokes. Let me Google a few ones real quick. Let's see. Chuck Norris jokes. Just want to sound like a fucking idiot. Let's see. 35 Chuck Norris jokes. Let's see what we got here. Why didn't Chuck Norris cross the road? Or why did Chuck Norris cross the road? He didn't. The road moved out of his way. Shit like that, where it's like, what Chuck Norris doesn't sleep, he waits. What is Chuck Norris's favorite type of candy? Jawbreakers, for obvious reasons. Why doesn't Chuck Norris need a GPS? He decides where he is and the world complies. Like shit like that, dude. Like this, like Chuck Norris was such a force, bro. Growing up, one of my favorite movies was Dodgeball. And then in Dodgeball, just randomly, Chuck Norris is one of the fucking announcers at the Dodgeball show. And Vince Vaughn's like, thank you, Chuck Norris. And Chuck Norris just gives him the fucking thumbs up. It's just so, he's just such a fucking meme, bro. Chuck Norris didn't die. God just owed him money. There you go, Burn. Thank you, bro. Rufus, what's up, man? So yeah, dude, Chuck Norris, cultural icon. And, you know, I remember him fondly, dude. Like, I got some clips here. Let's take a look at some old Chucky Boy clips. We'll get rid of that. Watch that again later. We'll get that out of there. Oh, like this is classic Chuck Norris, dude. And keep in mind, he's a Pisces, right? Let's watch this clip. Chuck Norris is a Pisces sun, but he has a lot of Aries energy. Like his sun's not in Aries, but and his Mars is neither. His Mars is in Taurus, but like he's got Moon, Jupiter, and Saturn all in Aries. Pisces. So again, did he kick with his feet once in a while? You know, like that kind of shit. Like yeah, you know. And he had a strong willpower. And like Taurus, Mars, you can think like real bull energy, like someone you don't want to fuck with. You don't want to fuck with Taurus in general, but like Mars and Taurus is like a real steady Mars. It's in detriment in a way, sure, because it's opposite its ruler Scorpio, but yeah, but it's sextile in the sun in Pisces, so it's got something going for it in his chart. All right, anyway, let's take, so this is just Chuck Norris, I think David Letterman. Just look how good of a guy Chuck Norris is here.
Needs to defend his or herself. What can we do?
Anytime someone walks up to you and you feel like there's going to be a violent confrontation, you never face them straight on because all this is a very vulnerable area. So you'd always turn it slightly at a slight angle. So now if I threw a punch, most people when they throw a punch, they draw back and they telegraph it. So as they do, then as I throw the punch, Dave, the first thing would do is block. As soon as he blocked, rather than drawing back like most people do by way back here, it comes right from the hip, and it brings right here, and then the punch goes right into the stomach. Naturally, that may knock the wind out of him, but it may not be enough to drop him to the ground. So then you would grab both of his shoulders, that one and this one here. The right foot then would come behind my right leg, right into here. Now, what you're doing is breaking his balance. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to pull down as hard as you can with the left and push with the right. Hard. Oh! There you go. Right in.
Dude, oh man, they were both so young back in the day, bro. That's wild. Obviously, they used to be young. But, like, look at that, right? Like, you see here, humble, very humble of him to put Letterman on the role of thrower and letting himself be thrown. Also smarter because Norris knows how to fall safely. So, like, Pisces people, like Burns said in chat, like, they're just so nice. Like, he didn't say that, but he said, you know, the Pisces makes them worship you. Cinnamon Bear, what's up? Let's see what we got here. Oppenheimer once asked Chuck Norris to sneeze. Well, we all know what happened later. Well, nukes are fake, but that's okay. Chuck Norris went to McDonald's and ordered a Whopper. They got it for him. Classic. So yeah, dude, Chuck Norris, just like an A+ dude, man. A+ dude. And then I found this to be just so funny, dude. This is like classic, like 80s. Bro, look at this outfit. Oh my God.
Have you ever made a mistake? Of course you have. We all have. Many times it's hard to face up to that mistake because it means you may be laughed at or punished. But when you do face up to your mistake and know you'll never do it again, then you become a much stronger person. And we needed all that strength on the island of the walking dead.
It's like, what the fuck? He's just sitting there, dude, like a belly shirt and very high shorts, but that was the 80s, I guess. I don't know what show this was. I was not a kid when this show was around, for sure.
Remember, everyone makes mistakes in their life. You do, I do, and your parents do. But being able to love them in spite of those mistakes is what makes you a very special person.
Indeed, Chuck Norris.
Catch you later.
Catch you later. It's just so fucking good, bro. I think one of these ones at the end was so good, too. What do we have here? Was this it when he was fucking fighting? Yeah, he's punching the punching bag. Here we go.
Remember, kids, a bully is no one to be afraid of.
True.
Because a bully is nothing but a coward. If a bully was really brave and wanted to show how tough he is, he wouldn't pick on someone smaller than himself. He would find someone bigger and tougher than he is to pick on. Now, when is the last time you saw a bully do that? Catch you later.
Just like, what the fuck, bro? So, classic Chuck Norris, but I do want to talk about in his chart, right? So, what do we have? I think his biggest challenge in his chart is what? And I've mentioned this before. This is a very, very tough placement for anybody. Venus conjunct Saturn always indicates problems relating to love. Even Venus in her domicile of Taurus, very happy in Taurus, but Saturn has fallen Aries, so we have a really interesting Venus-Saturn conjunction where, like, love in a way wants to be down to earth, but there is like a malefic flickering flame always affecting the pleasure in one's life. And let's take a look at Chuck Norris's wiki. He was divorced, I think, at least once. Let's see, let's go down. He's got a long Wikipedia. The Chuck Norris system. I will develop myself to the maximum of my potential in all ways. That's very, very Piscean right there, guys. Very, very Piscean. I will forget the mistakes of the past and press on to greater achievements. Holy shit, dude. The Chuck Norris system is a code of honor and rule. This is Norris's personal code, bro. This is the key to his chart right here. I will continually work at developing love, happiness, and loyalty in my family. Hello, Pisces sun? Dude, I will look for the good in all people and make them feel worthwhile. If I have nothing good to say about a person, I will say nothing. I should do that more often. Thank you, Chuck Norris. I will always be as enthusiastic about the success of others as I am about my own. I try to do that. That's a very, very good practice. That's like some how to win friends and influence people type shit. But you don't want to do it for selfish reasons. You don't want to try and like I think that book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, very, very good book. I like it, even though I'm not a big fan of Dale Carnegie, kind of like a globalist, like WF kind of type person, right? But like it's genuinely good advice. But like you don't want to like make friends in order to control, like use them. You want to make friends in order to help them, because like by helping others you help yourself. And then of course, yeah, like if you need help they'll probably help you, but like that should be like back there. It should be like, you should make friends to try to want to help others. So like celebrating other successes, like guys, um keeping in touch with people. I'm not terrible at this, but I'm not the best, but like genuinely good practice. Like people, when you reach out, it's a really good way to maintain friendships. I will maintain an attitude of open-mindedness. Am I open-minded? I'm pretty open-minded, but I'm also like fucking set in a lot of ways. I will maintain respect for those in authority and demonstrate this respect at all times. I don't do that at all. Sorry, Chuck Norris. I will always remain loyal to my God, my country, family, and my friends. Very good, Chuck Norris. I will remain highly goal oriented throughout my life because that positive attitude helps my family, my country, and myself. Dude, look at that. Like the country, bro. I miss when the nation was a nation. Very, very Piscean code that Chuck Norris has lived by. Chuck Norris lives by. All right, so let's see though, right? So back again, we're looking at his Venus Saturn conjunction, and he married his high school sweetheart. He was 18, she was 17. But after 30 years of marriage, so again, Saturn can wait a long time to wreck malefically. They separated in 1988 and finalized a divorce in 1989. They had two sons who were, well, and they were adults, 26 and 23 when they got divorced. So the sons didn't, they had their parents growing up. But then he married Gina O'Kelly, a model 23 years his junior, on in 98. Let's see. They had twins. Okay. So let's see. Oh, and look at this. Norris had a daughter, Dina, from an extramarital relationship. Naughty, naughty, Chuck Norris. Not great. Glad you had a daughter, but it should have been with your wife. While stationed in California during his service in the U.S. Air Force, he began seeing a woman named Johanna without disclosing that he was married to Holacek. Norris and Diana met for the first time. Oh, this was during his first, bro, when he was married to his high school sweetheart. He cheated on her while he was stationed and had an illegitimate daughter. Fuck, bro. He only met her for the first time in 1990. Oh, Chuck Norris. That's got to be one of his big regrets in life, bro. But hey, who am I'm not the one to judge. I'm way far from perfect. But like, again, Venus Saturn conjunction will make your love life challenging, almost guaranteed. There are very few ways to mitigate that. Venus hates Saturn. Again, I highly recommend this book, Bonatti, on basic astrology. He really lays out how the ancients viewed the planets. Like all of the planets had different relationships, or have different, they still have them, different relationships where like they like certain planets and they hate other planets. And it's really interesting to see what it is. And Venus loves pretty much everybody except Saturn. Venus hates Saturn. Okay, so let's see. Norris was a conservative, and that's why he was such a dope dude. He was just like a fucking like, like the kind of guy like you like a very like what like every dad, like every American dad should be a fucking Chuck Norris. Loves America, can fight, can but again, what kind again, American dad in the 80s, he was a little bit loose with the old Johnson. So that is, like a call also like an American tycoon stereotype that he kind of lived up to there. So let's see. What did Utah Spice say? Oh, but my Venus is in Capricorn. Ooh. All right. Let's see. Let's see. What was next up after? So that's Chuck Norris's birth chart. That's enough about that. But like high spring energy. The guy was full of life. Mercury in Pisces. He was still a great communicator. So it just shows that Mercury and Pisces can be fine. Mercury and Moon conjunction. he only has 3 aspects in his chart, which is I always find it fascinating when there are very few aspects in a chart. So the Venus conjunct Saturn, Sun sextile Mars, and that's great, right? That's like again the martial energy and the love, right? Sex, love, the love. He has this a love of martial arts is literally in his soul. And there's so much Aries in his chart, even though Mars is in detriment and but like Mars rules Aries, and the sextile with the sun is very, very beneficial. So again, it mitigates it a little bit, that detrimental Taurus for the Mars. And then Moon conjunct Mercury, that's a sharp mind. Moon Mercury conjunctions. That's the passive mind, the emotions, then the active mind. So he's probably a very emotional dude, honestly, in his personal life. If I had to guess, with an Aries Moon conjunct the Mercury, he might have let his tongue slip foolishly in his personal life. Maybe he might have said some shit that pissed his wife off. But maybe they got divorced. So, um, yeah, there's all that. Let's see what else is next. Okay, dude, I saw this. I just wanted to talk about this. Talk about the fog of war. Guys, this is fucking fascinating. So, odd. This is David. I don't even know who David Bateman is, but this is a tweet that I saw. But it says, odd that despite the hostility between the West and Iran, Iran fell for the COVID. Oh, I got an alarm. Get out of here. Iran fell for the COVID vaccine scam and vaccinated 78% of their population. Has to make you wonder if Iran and the West are already controlled by the same people and this war is a hoax and designed to effectuate Agenda 2030. Which, yeah, I completely can see that. The US couped Iran, what was it, in the 70s? In the 60s? So 50 years ago, we couped Iran. It's not like we don't have influence in that country. Excuse me. You couldn't plan a better pretext for crashing all global economies than to close the Strait of Hormuz. Very true, dude. Like, the Strait of Hormuz has been in the public zeitgeist in such a big way. Like, this one little strip of fucking water is so important for the global oil supply. And Trump's just like, close it. Like, we're going to war. Netanyahu says so. Something tells me this isn't your garden variety US military skirmish. Yeah, dude, this one, it feels different. I've said this since the beginning. The fact that it wasn't predicated on a false flag yet is very fascinating. It's like the mask is fully off when it comes to Israelis and their ilk. And they're just going for it. They're just letting it rip. So this war is so weird because it's again like the people who will fucking worship the military and fall for every war, of course they're gonna fall for it. But so many people see right through it. And the JQ has also been really thrust into the public zeitgeist in the past year and a half. Like, I've been watching that shit for a long time. Like, I'm OG with like the conspiracies regarding, let's say, World War II and stuff like that, right? So like, I've been on it for a hot minute. So it's very interesting seeing people wake up. There are people doing like very conservative punditry online who only woke up to this shit ago, like, woke up to this shit like 2.5 years ago. Like, they've been like politically awake for 2.5 years, and they're already out there like, oh, the so and so's are the ones to blame. This is the one to blame. And I'm like, huh, like, I think a lot of this is becoming too obvious, and that worries me. The answers used to be harder to obtain or to attain, but I don't know, it's like something in the air shifts, thus the stream title, the times they are a-Changin. But guys, so right, going back to Iran being controlled, there's no bullshit because this is getting followed up, guys. Check this fucking out. So Ayatollah Khamenei, UK Western Intel asset? Question mark. Now, guys, this is comedy only. Nothing I say is true. This is entertainment and comedy only. But is Khamenei, this is a conspiracy theory, we'll look at this in a second on his Wikipedia. Is Khamenei the son of Freemason and oil executive Richard Williamson of Bristol, UK? But then, guys, this is a fact. Look at this on the bottom. The new Iran Masonic Pyramid Parliament with 33 windows. I looked it up. Guys, this is what the Iranian parliament looks like. And I counted it. There are 33 windows in the Iranian parliament. So it's like, bro, like, are we really fighting here or are we not really fighting? Because if you're really, really, let's say, red pilled on World War II, I'm going to have to say this super fucking encoded, by the way. So if you don't get the codes, that's fine. But a certain group of people discovered all of the happy fun camps in World War II. The Western Allies did not liberate any of the happy fun camps during World War II. They were all liberated by the Red Army. Yet the Red Army, it's illegal to question that narrative in that country, and they play along with everything. And they're said to be our enemy when obviously we know the influence of those people in our country. You can't square that. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But like, so obviously, like, dude, like the whole world's a fucking stage, man. That's what this all comes down to is like, where's the next one? Dang it. Give me 1 second. Here it is. I love this meme. Is the whole world, is it just like a Masonic clown show? Maybe, in a way.